Well, off the back of the end of last week here on Rookie to Royalty, we have managed to not lose a game since then, but we have drawn a couple, and unfortunately one of those was in the first round of the FA Cup against Fylde, so it does mean today we've got a replay, albeit that one back at home, and before then we take on a Crawley Town team who kind of pumped us earlier this season in the Carabao Cup. Hello everyone and welcome to episode number 30 of Rookie to Royalty here on Shaun Does FM with Buxton FC. I hope you're doing well and had a good long Easter weekend, but coming up today we've got two games. The first one away from home, we take on Crawley. Of course, earlier this season we took those guys on in our first game ever in the Carabao Cup. They kind of pulled our pants down there and spanked us with a 3-0 loss that we did suffer, and then a rematch from the first round of the FA Cup, a replay I should say. It's at home for us, which hopefully means we'll get the job done this time, because unfortunately a 2-2 draw there away as we took on Fylde does mean we have to do a replay to try and make our way through to the second round. So if you guys are looking forward to that, this comes off the back of the end of last week. We played those games against Swindon Town, a 2-1 winner, backed up with a bit of a 3-0 paddling there thanks to free headers. That was from Costello, which did mean we suffered there of defeat away at Crew Alexandra. Thankfully since then have not been too bad first up. Easily the toughest game I thought we had in between now and when we were planning to come back against the Peterborough United team expected to be the strongest in this division this season. A 0-0 draw, which I thought actually not that bad result. You can see the team that we put out over on the right hand side, and also let's check out the stats here from this game. I was pretty happy with what we did in this game, especially once it loads up and actually see what happened in this game. At the point there, with a little bit of rotation, not too bad stats-wise. Peterborough, could argue, were slightly on the front foot, but our XG was a bit higher, so I think they're a draw, a fair result. But much like the Salford game we're going to come back for the start of that last episode, it wasn't up to too much to be fair. We'll take a point from that one against the tough team at home, and then refound our winning form, albeit only by a narrow margin, with a 1-0 win away at Scunthorpe. A little bit disappointed we didn't beat these guys by a bigger margin, because certainly on the front foot a lot more in this game, but that was a bit more expected considering that's the Scunthorpe team we did beat last season to the National League title. So thankfully back in winning form there. Before we suffered that 2-2 draw away at Fylde, unfortunately kind of blew a good chance here to go straight through to that second round off the back of a Jed Garner goal only 11 minutes in, but then Fylde picked up a quick fire double around the half-hour mark thanks to Benjamin as well as Tyler Roberts. But thankfully in the second half it was a goal to Zayn Mohammed, which did mean we pick up a 2-2 draw and take this to a replay back at the Tarmac Silverland. Second up in today's episode, stats-wise again, we looked like the better team in this game, but for some reason a bit leaky defensive-wise there for a couple of minutes around the half-hour mark, and that did prove costly. So that one is going to go a replay, which hopefully we will make our way through. And off the back of that too, a bit of a disappointing result here in League 2 at home, only managing to pick up a 1-1 draw against Tranmere Rovers. Alice Lahane gave us the lead there at the 15-minute mark. Unfortunately, Tranmere did come home quite strongly in this game, especially in the second half. You see there a good chance early, and they got a couple in that second half. Eventually, they took one through Luke Norris, and we dropped points to a team who aren't doing too well, down in 21st. So a bit disappointed with that result at the Tarmac Silverlands. That's probably our worst result so far in League 2, especially in one of our home games. But thankfully then we bounced back a few days later with a 2-0 win over Bristol Rovers. Not too bad considering those guys are one of the teams pushing one of those playoff promotion spots here in League 2. A goal there to Charlie Pavey in the first half and Cole Kelly in the second. A really good result there considering quite a bit of rotation we did do for that game. Lots of quick backups in this little patch I have played off the back of the end of last week. So that is a common theme before a full rotation, which hopefully means got a lot of fresh players for these games we'll get through in today's episode. They still managed to beat Fleetwood Town 2-1, which I thought was quite surprising considering when we took on Fleetwood Town earlier this season, they thumped us 6-2, but this one back at the Tarmac Silverlands in the Pizza Cup, we come from behind and beat them 2-1. Zach Henry there with the equaliser halfway through the first half, and Sebastian Williams in injury time to make sure it did not go to a penalty shootout. Not that it made too much difference considering we were already guaranteed to go through to the next round, but in the end it does mean that Fleetwood, they will finish bottom of the group. Aston Villa under-21s, they go through to the next round alongside us. That's all that's happened off the back of the end of last week. You'll notice in the next round of that EFL trophy, we take on Barnsley from up in League One. That actually could be a bit of an interesting game to potentially come back for in a little while. They're in the process of a board takeover and do look like a decent club there, mid-table, up a division, but we'll see if that works into the plan. Obviously, got Northampton Town off the back of the Fylde game, so maybe that's what we come back for in tomorrow's episode, that double header. But today, Crawley Town and AFC Fylde. But during the course of those games I've played over the long weekend, we have suffered a couple more injuries. Jake Vokins and Olabade Aluko, he's come back up from the under-21s and got some game time in that most recent patch we have been playing through. They're both okay. Jake Vokins still on a little bit of a minute restriction, but these days not too bad at 75 minutes. But a couple more injuries that we have picked up. Jaden Sweeney still not quite back from his broken collarbone, out for 4 to 9 days. Maybe might be a bench option for that FA Cup replay. But Caden Kelly, a damaged kneecap, he's out for 2 to 4 weeks. Is our backup advanced playmaker. That's the reason that Charlie Pavey has got a bit of game time in those last couple of fixtures that we have played. And also Lewis Jones, our backup left winger, a pulled back muscle, out for 2 to 9 days. That one happened in that Pizza Cup win that we did just pick up. So unfortunately missing a couple of fringe players as well, is still Jaden Sweeney currently here with this Buxton team. But thankfully Vokins almost back to full fitness. And we do, of course, have Jake Leake, who's been doing a good job while he has been out. But hopefully can pick up a good result here. And a pretty big matchup in terms of the promotion playoff picture here in League 2. You can see we currently find ourselves in 6th here on 32 points. Just 1 point ahead of Crawley Town. And also looking here for a little bit of revenge off the back of that 3-0 win they picked up against us in the Carabao Cup early this season. But yet again, this one is away from home. To be fair though, their recent form, not that good. Just the win over Grimsby Town 5 ago, and since then 3 defeats and 1 draw against Northampton, who to be fair have been ever so slightly on the slide of late. Now 4 points behind Salford City on top of League 2. So I'm quite hopeful here we can find a way to maybe get something out of this game, especially off the back of that big rest we gave to most of our first team players in the Pizza Cup, seeing as we were already through the next round of that competition. To be fair, it's the Pizza Cup. I don't really care about it that much anyway, but our rotation players have been burning the house down in that competition. So here's our lineup for this game. Jake Vokins, we're actually going to start him there over Leake, seeing as he's not on a heavy workload, unlike our regular starter with those injuries that we have had. Also Charlie Pavey there, an advanced playmaker. And on the wings, we've got Colville as well as Muir. Colville at right wing for this one. He's got a nice link up with Pignon from last season. So we'll try that Muir. Let's see what he can do at left wing with a couple of players now injured in that position. That's the reason why we're doing that change. And also, of course, Crusade on a heavy workload. So he's quite injury prone. Don't need more injuries in that position. And also Gigana, we will try up front. Did decently in the Pizza Cup. Based on attributes, he should be better than Lahane. We'll see if that's actually the case, because I think on form Lahane is probably still the first choice striker here this season at Buxton. But we'll see if Ghana can regain some good form coming back from a bit of an injury, which has kept him out of the first team for a bit longer than he probably would have liked. But really, not a bad team we're putting out here for this game with the injuries that we are currently dealing with. Let's hope this time we can put up a little bit more of a fight against Crawley. But unfortunately, they've gone an early corner in this game. They go near post, and Jamie Holloway will put that one past Pignon. Doesn't get out jump this time, but was on the near post. He may as well not have been, because he's done absolutely nothing. And I'm getting officially sick of headed goals against us now in this game. We've gone 1-0 down. It feels like the end of last week all over again with that Crew Alexandra hat-trick of headers. And now they've got a thrown inside of the final third. You are kidding me, FM. We can see it again. It's Lincoln playing for Crawley, who puts that one away. That time I think it's Vokins at the far post, who gets out jump. The fullbacks and wingbacks in the game this year, just for some reason, are absolutely useless in here. I don't think it matters who you put in those positions. They're just awful. We go 2-0 down in quick succession. And now another chance from here from set piece. You are joking me. Dribril Okadina will put that one away. We've conceded 3 goals from headers inside the space of about 5 minutes. I think I might need to check out the set piece defence off the back of this, because that's now 2 from corners in this game. To be fair, the Crew Alexandra one at the end of last week, I'm not too sure if that was corners more than crosses where we were conceding, but this is already a bit of a lost cause for us here. First up in today's episode, thankfully Pinion there does something finally, an interception. Now, great chance for us here on the counter attack. Muir's through for some reason, plays that one back there to Colville, who thankfully beats their partially injured goalkeeper for Crawley. So hopefully that's something we can make the most of in the remainder of this game. Might not be able to yet if we can get enough shots off here in this one, but Muir, I thought there, might as well just take on the shot, but thankfully he did pick out Colville, to be fair. That took a deflection to beat Grashishire in goal, but thankfully we've scored with our first attack of the game so far. There's been 4 shots, 4 on target, and 4 goals. As I say that though, Crawley do get one off, but thankfully mustn't have been a header, because we have not considered that seriously. Now, a major concern with our defence, who it looks like they are all sitting on some pretty rubbish ratings from that first half. We might even have to make all 5 subs here at halftime. A lot of players out there on less than a 6.4. So what we'll do here is take off both our centre backs for Curtis and Mohammed. The benefit there of having someone in defensive midfielder who can do a job at centre back as well. On our bench also, we'll bring on the Abdul Salam at right back. Might be a bit better in there than someone like Pinion, and also Lahane for Ghana. I think we'll have to give up the ghost there on Ghana as our first choice striker for a little while. He's just not quite up to it in these games that we're playing in League 2. Does a decent job in the Pizza Cup and also other games when we absolutely need to use him. But if there's a chance that Lahane can play, we probably should be making the most of it, because he certainly looks like our best striker at the moment here with this Buxton team. But 3-1 with a partially injured goalkeeper. Hopefully we can get a few more shots off here in the second half, and maybe that might get us away back into this game. But unfortunately, Crawley are on the attack here early in the second half. They somehow get a shot off there despite the best efforts of Midgley, and it takes the deflection and goes in. They make it 4-1, and that probably puts them now properly in our coffin with only 35 minutes left. You can see here it finds their attacker. Midgley gets a good foot in. They take on the shot there, a bit of a deflection from one of our players. I think that was Dewuna, and they make it 4-1. So all the luck here is going against us as well as any ability to win an aerial duel inside of our own box. We can't make any subs here, but what we might do is try a 4-2-3-1, or maybe what we do, considering we're getting pumped anyway, is try something like a 4-1-4-1 that did work late last season. What we might do here is pull Midgley forward alongside Pavey. He can be an attacking midfielder on attack alongside Pavey as the advanced playmaker. Both our wingers onto attack, and also we'll change those fullbacks to wingbacks on support. Last season it was wingbacks on attack that did work. Also go to a higher tempo. Might as well just see what might work here, because the 4-3-3, Crawley Town, I think, have got the wood over based on the 2 games we've played against them so far this season, albeit those 3 goals in the first half, all from headers. You do wonder if it's just a weird day for us in terms of the match engine, but unfortunately, off the back of Crew Alexandra at the end of last week, now it's becoming a little bit of a theme. We might as well here check the wingbacks on attack late on in this game. Also, Dewuna should probably go central. That might help us there defensively late on in this game. Let's just see if we can get something going here in the later stages of this one. A corner there for Crawley. Thankfully this time we don't see them score a goal from it, like was the case so often in that first half. About to make our way the final 5 minutes of this game. Still on positive, maybe should go attacking in the relatively near future. Unfortunately, Lahane there was on the ball, but a good tackle there does mean that we lose out, and as Crawley here with a chance to work their way out from the back. But unfortunately, pretty poor display here first up in today's episode. We win the ball back there, Dewuna with a long ball over the top, but unfortunately that had no danger of Lahane getting there because he was in an offside position. Also, Muir has picked up an orange injury, as has our right back. This could be a pretty bad start to today's episode if those injuries are serious. Pavey there, a nice through ball to Alice Lahane. We finally get another decent shot off in this game past a partially injured goalkeeper, and Lahane, as I said, I think now stamping his mark down as our first choice striker for the rest of the season here with this Buxton team. A good finish, albeit probably a case of too little too late. We'll go more attacking off the back of him putting that one away in that top corner. Muir here, a nice pass forward, and Pavey, that's a perfectly timed pass from him on that run from Lahane. Let's hope we get one more highlight late on in this game as we make our way into 5 minutes of added time. Stats-wise, though, Crawley have been the better team in this game. It's a bit frustrating. They've scored 3 goals from headers in the first half, just like Crew Alexandra at the end of last week, and we suffer a 4-2 defeat. So that is not a good start to today's episode. We'll try and be easy on the guys, albeit I'm a bit annoyed at that one. Maybe need to check our set piece defence off the back of that one. Hopefully sort it out before the FA Cup replay, but it does mean we drop outside of one of those playoff promotion spots off the back of a 4-2 defeat at Crawley Town. So not a good start there to today's episode, that 4-2 freshing from Crawley, and thanks to a couple of headers that we do concede, exactly the same as that Crew Alexandra game at the end of last week. Hopefully it goes a bit better when we take those guys on at home in the second half of the season. But now hopefully a chance for us to make our way through for the first time the second round of the FA Cup. The previous 2 seasons we have been here at the club. We've made our way through to this first round, then taken on teams from divisions above us at that stage and lost. This time we are taking on a team far below us, albeit they did hold us to a draw in the initial tie away from home. In Fylde, we checked out these guys late last week. They are predicted to be right up there in terms of a potential promotion team from the National League this season, but they are sitting down in 13th. They've got Darren Moore in charge, who, to be fair, has some experience at a higher level of clubs like Port Vale, Huddersfield, as well as Sheffield Wednesday. So a decent manager there, but just struggling with that Fylde team, and hopefully we can get the job done here this time over them back at the Tarmac Silverland. So fingers crossed here, we're a bit better from set pieces. Have tried to do some different stuff with our defence off the back of that Crawley Town game. Fingers crossed that Fylde might be not quite as efficient from those corners as them as well as Crew Alexandra have been, because seriously, getting a bit sick of that. Otherwise, we're doing quite well here with this Buxton team this season. So if we can find a way to sort that out, that should get us going quite well here and hopefully make us a proper promotion contender. But in terms of changes to our regular best 11, just a couple. Jake Leck still in there at left back. Voken's a bit tight off the back of that game that he played earlier. And also, we are still going with Gunner up front because Lahane is on a heavy workload going to this one. Quite injury prone. Zach Henry, he can come onto the bench. But apart from that, it's pretty much our first choice 11 we're putting out here for this FA Cup replay. Really want to make our way through to the second round. If we get that far, we'll take on Chesterfield from up in League One. So hopefully can get the better here of Fylde this time around and actually get through to the second round for the first time in club history. 10 minutes in here, we are on the attack. Try and float a ball far post there, but obviously we're no good in the air. Not going to win that one, but back on the attack here inside the box. Zay there will take on the shot. Thankfully buries it in the bottom right corner past Truman. I wonder if that's Reece Truman. Didn't actually check that before when I was running through my team instead of Fylde's. He definitely didn't play in that firstly, but this might be a great chance for us here to win if it's Reece Truman, because he's got pretty much just empty bags of club for hands. He can't use them to save his life, as we discovered over the past few seasons here with this Buxton team. Indeed, it's Reece Truman in goal. Just shoot from sight, fellas. We won't tell them that because otherwise we get some awful chances. But seriously, shots on target here. We should be fine. Just shoot at the general net area. We should be scoring goals because Reece Truman had some absolute shockers for us here at Buxton, especially in cup games. Let's hope that's the case now that we're taking him on with this Fylde team. Ashton Muir and Dawuna already down to some quite deep yellow hearts. Unfortunately, off the back of that own goal that was there through Waldron. That one got robbed there from Zay, who took on the initial shot. There hasn't been much happening in this one, but just before half-time, got a throw in here inside of the final third. Zay is back on the ball. That pass, not quite on the money. Cundy can cut it out, but Pinion plays that one back up there to Muir, tries to curve that one top left corner. Probably need to try and get it just inside the post like that because Truman ain't that good. Just anywhere in the general centre of goal usually does the trick, but that one not quite on target. We're only 1-0 up at half-time, which is a bit of a concern considering we're actually playing quite well in this game. I would like a cushion goal. We'll take off those players on some deep yellow hearts. So Colville can come in at right wing and Mohammed for Dawuna there in defensive midfield, but I'm pretty happy with how we're playing. Just need that cushion goal to hopefully put this one to bed. Otherwise, there is a chance that Fylde could come back at us and take this one to extra time, and obviously then it would be a penalty shootout, and now we have a chance from a corner, but obviously with our hitting situation, not going to be too dangerous from those. Might need to check out to our corner routines on attack, because not getting too much play from those here at the moment with this Buxton team, but thankfully still on the attack. Leak and Zay link up there a couple of times, and it goes back out there. Leak down our right-hand side, put that far post for Colville. That one comes off the inside of the post, and it doesn't quite make its way over the line. Seriously, we're cursed in the air currently with this Buxton team, but thankfully we deal with the danger there from a foul throw. And a few minutes later, albeit probably could have dealt with that easier if Hewlett just let that ball roll through to Casper in goal. But in the end, we start to get here on the attack. Williams plays that one for Dezay. He makes his way forward, switches that one out quite nicely to Colville, albeit they get that one back in Pinion. Obviously gets out jumped in the air yet again, but thankfully that pass off the money and Manning plays it forward there to Garner, goes looking for that left-hand side of goal. But unfortunately, again, we don't hit the target. We just need to do it more often, guys, because they're not very good with Reece Truman in goal. We've only had 5 shots on target. A few more, surely get a second goal in this game. And some of their play out from back here is pretty sketchy. Zay tries to loop that one over the top there for Garner, doesn't quite find him. And now actually a good chance for Fylde here on the counter attack. But great tackle there from Hewlett, and now back on the attack here through Colville. He links up with Pinion, and they play it to each other quite regularly. Colville squares that one nicely for Garner. Doesn't quite find him though, and Fylde can clear their lines. We switch it out there to Pinion, and that highlight does come to an end. So unfortunately, getting a couple of chances here to try and put the foot down in this game, just not quite taking them. Garner is struggling yet again on a 6.4. Honestly, he might be going down to the under 21 soon, because we'll see what Zach Henry can do in his place. But Jed Garner, honestly, been a pretty poor replacement for George Morgan. Thankfully, Lahane was at a pretty similar level anyway, so he's been stepping up into the first team when we've needed him. Now, Chris Zay on a 6.3. Honestly, that feels a bit harsh for the guy who contributed to the goal that we did score. We'll take him off here for Ollie Shield on the bench for this one, seeing as we're going to extend the bench in the FA Cup. But a free kick to Fylde, which thankfully we have dealt with. Cundy there, though, is on the ball. They do keep it here inside the final third, and have done so for a wee while as well. I was hoping that sub we made might cut out this highlight. Unfortunately, that has not been the case. Jeff Cott there for fine law so far. They're manipulating our defence quite well, and they're a good save from Casper to keep this at 1-0. So maybe the difference being shown there between the goalkeepers in this game, and thankfully that sub does mean we don't see the subsequent corner, which we are quite leaky from. But now we've got the ball again here from a throw-in inside of the opposition half. Manning will play that one back there to Hewlett. Goes forward to Mohammed, who does get pressured there a little bit. Good option to find Pinion. Goes back into Colville before getting it back there from our right back. For some reason, not taking on players here out wide like we should be. It eventually goes in there though, Manning, but his shot goes over the bar. That one from close range really should be testing the goalkeeper more here for this Fylde team, but unfortunately hasn't quite been the case. We'll just sneak our way the final 10 minutes of this game, and it's time for us here to start time wasting just a little bit more. Still got one more sub left that we can make. We'll save it up here for whatever we need to do in the last 10 minutes, especially if this one does go to extra time. Might be quite useful to make use of that if we absolutely need to, because unfortunately haven't put the foot down like I was hoping we would here in this game. Now we make our way towards the 90-minute mark, and it's time for us to start time wasting even more as we're about to make our way into injury time. In fact, now it's Jim Hewlett who finally drops down to a red Huts with her final sub. Harry Leeson can come on there at centre back as we make our way into only 3 minutes of added time. There is a throw, but thankfully it is in our favour. So hopefully here can score a goal, which might put this game to bed. Leeson is on the ball, goes back to Adelusi. We are taking our time here, making our way out from the back though, so it does mean Fylde are putting a bit of pressure on us here as we try and make our way forward, but thankfully eventually get up into their half league there with the ball to Manning over the top there for Henry, who puts it away, but was a mile offside, so unfortunately that one won't count. But fingers crossed that might do it for this game, which it does. We're through for the first time to the second round of the FA Cup, but really that should have been a much better performance and a much better win. Not too bad in terms of stats, but only the one goal against Reece Truman, who somehow got a 7.1, is a bit disappointing, but thankfully get one there over one of our former players and make our way through to that second round. But certainly there's room for improvement, only picking up a 1-0 win. So it wasn't very convincing in terms of the scoreline, but thankfully make our way through for the first time to the second round there of the FA Cup. Stats-wise, we were all over there, Reece Truman and that Fylde team, but unfortunately could only beat him once, and that was for an own goal. The player actually helped in that own goal, and Chris Zay had quite a poor rain, which did seem a little bit weird. He actually, I don't think, played that bad in that game, but apparently he did. That's why we're to sub him there in the second half, but thankfully just do enough there to make our way through to the next round of the FA Cup for the first time. Get a little bit of money for that, which is not too bad with a home game. And next up, we're away to Chesterfield from League One. That game coming up, I think we're off the back too of maybe what we've got coming up pretty soon in terms of Northampton Town in League 2 as well. So that might be something a bit more interesting to come back for than the Pizza Cup second round of that we're going to play against Barnsley, albeit these guys are further down in League 1 in 17th. Their stadium holds 10,000 people, so to be fair, that's not a bad draw for us here for the team who have Mark Hughes in charge. I'm pretty sure this is one of the teams that had a job pop up when quite a few other interesting teams were also in that situation at the end of last week. Obviously, we are still here at Buxton, did not get offered a single interview for any of them, maybe because that new contract that we did sign. If you're wondering, a quick update as well on that job centre. There's still a couple of interesting ones popping up, albeit these days, not necessarily in England. The likes of NAC over there in the Netherlands, a couple have popped up there, and MLS going up a little bit further. A couple of teams now with jobs available in La Liga, albeit that's probably a bit of a step up from what we could do. Al Ittihad as well as Al Nasir in Saudi Arabia. That actually is not that much of a step up in terms of club reputation, but I dare say they won't have any idea about us down in League 2 in the English system. And a couple more interesting jobs popping up here in the likes of Serie A with Salernitana. You've got the Vala Reykjavik over in Iceland. There was the Volsinger job at some stage last week. Unfortunately, that one didn't pop up in terms of a job interview. A couple of jobs there in Germany as well, and still a couple higher up the pyramid in England at the likes of Huddersfield Town, albeit those guys are struggling quite a bit. Not too sure if these jobs quite as enticing as the ones that were there at the end of last week, but thankfully have made our way through to the next round of the FA Cup against Chesterfield, and that actually not a bad draw at a stadium with 10,000 people. We'll probably come back for that one in tomorrow's episode as well, hopefully as that Northampton Town game, because they are in 4th. That could be a good chance for us, hopefully, to make our way back inside of that playoff picture. But hopefully you guys did enjoy today's episode. That set-piece absolute abomination against Crawley Town yet again. Hopefully I'll fix that corner defence off the back of that game, and then just doing enough there to get past Fylde in the first round replay of the FA Cup. If you enjoyed that one, then do remember to go down below, leave a thumbs up on the video, and if you haven't done so already and are enjoying the series here on the channel, also make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn that notification bell on as well. Until tomorrow, as I said, for Northampton as well as Chesterfield in that second round of the FA Cup. Thank you very much for watching. Keep on keeping on, and I'll see you then. Cheers.